Hey there, folks. Marcus Homar Squires here, back on Mount Vernon Street. We've been on quite a journey reviving this old house, and this week I'm diving into a new role. I'm becoming a mason. The brick steps were power washed in October, and I came back around and I used an S-type mortar mix, and I dyed the mortar mix with a tan dye. It's important that when you are dyeing your mortar that you put the dye into the water before you put the mix in. The way that I've applied the mortar is a little unconventional, but it gets the job done. As a mason, you're going to have to wipe down the bricks, so I applied a lighter layer onto the actual bricks themselves, so that I could come back around and properly clean them, so that the grout is getting into every single nook and cranny. Here's the final product. This whole project cost around $20. I then went around to start to renovate these back steps and to help preserve them for future generations, and I realized that the steps were actually sinking into the earth. The original mason or bricklayer who laid these steps in the 1920s did not actually install a footing. So over the last almost 100 years, these steps have sunken quite a bit. They probably would have been originally flush with the door. So to prevent them from sinking anymore, I dug the steps out and I installed the footings for a new lateral foundation. This is going to support the steps and prevent them from sinking anymore, hopefully. I'm going to also ensure that the water is no longer draining into this part of the yard from the gutter system, as the new gutters will be facing away from this part of the yard. So hopefully with the new drainage system, that area will be secured. While the footing was drying, I went up to inspect the roof. And the slate roof has a little bit of work that needs to be done, but that'll be for another video. My major concern was that the old boiler's flue was left wide open. So I went and I mixed some of the mortar, and I took a block, added it to the chimney stack with the mortar, and I capped off the old flue. I made sure to clean everything off, and I made sure that the mortar and the bricks were all very moist. I then went back and cleaned any pieces of missing mortar from the chimney stack that need to be addressed at this time, and I applied that mortar. I also jacked up the sunroom floor. It's a solid cement slab, and at one point somebody had decided to open up a portal into the underside of that sunroom, but they did not properly secure the slab, so there was a crack. So I had to build a new small column, and while that column was drying, I had the jack in. Here I am cleaning off the rest of the excess mortar from the chimney stack, and I'll continue to work on the chimney stack once it gets warmer. Back to the steps. The lateral foundation has dried, so now I am going to apply the dyed mortar to the brick steps. Again, this is just my technique for applying mortar. It's super easy. Anybody can do it. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a mason. You can do it yourself. And basically, it's a very simple process. And it cost all of about $30. I then used some of the extra mortar, which was already mixed, to fill in this very large crack between the driveway and the garage slab. There was some dyed mortar which was left in the bottom of the bucket, as you'll see, but you know, it's not really a big deal. It's just a small little garage. I then went into the basement and I started to prep the bricks for the mortar. A lot of this mortar had fallen apart due to time and moisture. And what a lot of homeowners do, they actually will go into their basements and they'll paint over bricks where the mortar is falling apart, or the masons a long time ago added too much sand to the mortar mix. And painting over your bricks in your basement or your crawl space, it's not recommended, because it's actually a lot easier and it's cheaper just to apply the mortar mix. A bag of mortar costs $7-8 at your local home improvement store, while a gallon of masonry paint will cost around $30-40. So just go with the mortar. And to prep your walls, you want to make sure that you've cleaned out any of the loose mortar in the joints. And after you clean out the loose mortar in the joints, you're going to want to spray down your bricks. You want to make sure that they're moist. After that, you're going to want to apply your mortar. Here I did not dye the mortar. This is just a cheap little project to do in my spare time. I had already made mortar that day and I had some extra mortar left over. If you have more questions, please let me know. And thanks for watching my videos. And here's a sneak peek to next week's video. I've been busy painting the outside of the house here on Mount Vernon Street in Petersburg, Virginia. Again, thanks so much for watching and supporting my page. Bye-bye.